Hey, what's up gang, EscoBlades here, bringing you another video commentary, and this time I'm looking at the Bodycount demo on Xbox Live. It went up today, and you guys should be able to check it out. I think it's 1.5 gigs at a download, so not too long, not too big. It's a nice taster of the game. The immediate reaction, as you look at the controls over here, the immediate reaction I had to it was, it's a fun game, it's really fun to play, but the controls, the movement controls especially, seemed a bit sluggish. Now, I don't know if that was by design or if that's just one of those things. A lot of developers seem to never really be able to get this right, and I know I'm making a comparison to Call of Duty here in that fluidity and, you know, that fidelity at 60 frames per second and whatnot, but the actual movement controls seemed a bit sluggish. As you see here, I try and run around the corner and I run into the wall. That's because I just wasn't used to the speed at which, you know, the controls reacted, and they were pretty slow. The other immediate thing I noticed is looking down the sights. As you can see here, I'm looking down the sights, aiming down the sights rather, but I'm not looking directly into the iron sights. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I did something wrong. If any of you have played this and you know, can figure out what it was, then tell me. But I think that's the standard way, you know, for the ADS. And I wasn't particularly happy about it because it did throw off my aim a little bit on a couple of occasions, you know, so it's something that I think you have to get used to, but I wasn't particularly happy when I first started. You can see with everything here there's destruction, as you're going to see after I take this guy out. I start shooting at the pillar eventually, and there's, you know, there's a degree of destruction with pretty much everything, especially with cover, so you can't sit behind you know, any particular cover for any length of time because it will degrade and in some cases just completely, you know, fail you. So, you know, that's one thing to look out for. But, you know, the initial impressions, which is what this is, I like it. I like the fact that, you know, the controls are standard for an FPS. You know, you don't have to figure out too much. You can have played any FPS and jump into this and you pretty much be on your feet. You just have to, you know, adjust for the cover system, adjust for that slightly sluggish movement speed, you know, and adjust to actually leaning while in cover. It gives the game a sort of, you know, a PC FPS sort of feel because of the lean. And, you know, I'm a big fan of lean system within FPS games. I wish more of them would implement it. So I was really happy to see that this was in here. Looking at the visuals, you know, it's exactly what I expected it to be, really. This is, you know, within an African shantytown, and I'm sure there'll be different locations as you play through the game, but within this demo, you're within an African shantytown. That's one thing I wanted to bring up, actually. If you see the map at the start of the game, before I start the commentary, you'll see that this place, where the demo is supposed to take place, is located in Lagos. I mean, that map is pretty much pointing at Lagos. I grew up there for 14 years of my life, so I know where it is. And I'm not quite sure why Codemasters weren't able to just name, you know, the location Lagos. They went with Tasanga City, which is fictional. I'm not sure what the issue was there. If anyone could tell me, or if anyone knows or has an idea, then feel free to leave it in the comments. So yeah, you know, you can see you're constantly updated on your targets and your objectives, and, you know, so that's really cool. It doesn't interfere with the actual HUD, and it doesn't interfere with your, you know, with your screen, so that's really good as well. The AI seems smart enough to duck into cover, and I suspect on higher difficulty settings, you know, they're probably more aggressive with regards to flanking maneuvers and stuff. But for the, you know, for the purposes of this demo, they ran into my bullets and my grenades a fair bit. See this guy trying to move here into cover, and then he ran right into a red barrel, which is great. So, you know, you can see the issue again I'm talking about with the aiming down sights. It just seems a bit off. I don't know. I'll tell you what this reminds me of, actually. When I first heard news about this game, and I'd seen, you know, some previews and stuff, it just reminded me of Brink. I'm not sure if anybody else agrees, but it reminded me of Brink in that it looks like something that's trying to break the mold, and, you know, developers and publishers can only be applauded for doing that, because, you know, we've all played FPSs. We know what a, you know, chock full genre it is, and, you know, a lot of new IPs especially aren't going to compete with Call of Duty and Battlefield and stuff. You just have to look at the likes of Homefront and Brink to see what can happen there. You know, I'm not going to take anything away from the Codemasters guys. We know where their strengths lie, which is, of course, the racing games. You just have to look at Formula 1 and Dirt 3 to to see what they're able to do, where their specialties lie. With regards to this, I mean, you can see issues here, and I know it's a demo. It's probably a demo from a very early build, so they should be able to polish up all that stuff with regards to textures hanging in the air and just floating and stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that if this releases within any sort of strong competition, I don't see it having staying power. Not because it's not a good enough game to stand on its own right, but rather because we know how gamers are, and if it releases within any sort of stiff competition, or if the release window is not right, people are going to play this for a week or two and then drop it. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So I think it's one thing Codemasters are going to have to look at really hard as to when to push this game out. And how much marketing they give to it, because it could be a fun game. It could definitely be a fun game with friends, but just like Brink, it's one of those, if it's not supported properly, and that goes beyond in-game issues, if it's not supported properly, then it's going to suffer, and it's just going to be another new IP that falls by the wayside. So you can see here, at the third try of asking, I'm able to dispatch this guy. He was a walking tank with his minigun, but I was able to put on those explosive rounds. Should talk about the explosive rounds and the OSB actually, which I've got to admit I'm not 100% sure what OSB stands for. I didn't look at it properly. I just noticed the the letters, but you can see that in the bottom left hand corner there, and you get a radial dial, so you get you utilize the D-pad to activate whatever power-ups or whatever augmentations you have. And the right on the D-pad, for the benefit of the demo, is explosive rounds. You can equip those. I'm not sure if they have any more penetration ability than normal rounds, but they're definitely better at taking down targets, especially boss battles like that one that I just faced. It seems to be controlled by a time meter as well. I don't know if killing people increases that. I didn't pay much attention to that, but it definitely, when you have enough of it, the dial which goes around the OSB, when you have enough of that, you can equip whatever augmentation you want, and then you have it for a certain amount of time. And I suspect as you upgrade things in the full game, you get more of that, or you get a slower drain of that time and stuff. Here you're going to see the destruction in action there. As I take things out, bring out the shotgun, and I'm able to pierce through here to get to the objective. And you'll see, unfortunately, another aspect of all those textures that are just hanging in midair, floating and stuff. But like I said, hopefully it should be polished. It's something that can easily be done. In terms of actual impressions, like I said, I really enjoyed the demo for what I played. I just didn't like that sluggishness. I've never been a fan of that, and it's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get to actually say enjoy, actually sort of like appreciate Battlefield Bad Company 2 and most of the Battlefield games for what it was. I think Battlefield players would step into this quite easily. It's something that they'll be used to, so it's it's something that they'll get the hang of pretty quickly. Some of you probably view that as a good thing. I think a lot of Call of Duty players might need to turn that sensitivity up to 80 or maybe even 100 for a lot of people, because it could take a while to get used to it. The aiming down the sights thing as well is one thing people are going to have to get used to, and if you've been a console player all of your life, lean's going to seem like an alien concept, so again you got to get used to that. But yeah, it's definitely looks like it's going to be a fun game based on everything I've seen and based on playing this demo. It's going to be a fun game with friends. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's co-op. I'll have to double check that, and if I'm wrong about that, I'll put an annotation on the screen just to inform people of that. I don't have my notes to hand right now, but if there is, then that'll be fun to do with friends. But the multiplayer as well, I can imagine. I'm sure Codemasters would do a good enough job. The issue, I guess, of course, with all multiplayer games would be an issue of servers, connection issues and stuff, and multiplayer balance. Especially with things that have a cover system, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Where it's more than just gun-on-gun battles; it's strategy as well. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. If I was to give the demo initial marks, I think it would be marked down mainly as a result of the sluggishness and you know, the aiming down sights. Those were two things that I wasn't particularly pleased on. So you know, give it a good solid 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts. You know, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll see. Have a good discussion about it. But anyway, this is me signing out for now. I'm gonna go and leave you with the end of this. So stay safe as always. Take care, and bye for now.